Alright, now we're going to render down some beeswax. We ended up harvesting one super of honey, about 10 frames. So we have those cappings and wax, and we also have a bucket of burr comb that we've been working on throughout the year. So we're going to go ahead and get those rendered down, get the buckets cleaned up, and get everything put away. It's late September now, so this will be the last we do with anything with wax for the year. Everything from here on is just feeding the bees, getting them ready for winter time, try to get them through that. Alright, we got a stainless pot here we got from a thrift store. It actually had a couple holes in the bottom. A friend of mine TIG welded it up for us so we can reuse it. Now, since it's TIG welded, I don't trust it for anything else, so we can make it into a honey pot. This, once the honey's on it, that's all this will ever be, is a honey pot. You cannot get them clean. So this will be our continuous honey pot. We're going to light a fire and get this thing up to heat. Alright, once we get this up to temperature, we're going to start adding wax. We're just going to go ahead and do all of our wax. We have the wax from the honeycomb itself, which is considered clean wax, and then we have about a half a 5-gallon bucket of burr comb. We're just going to go ahead and melt it all down together. This wax will just be reused for foundations for next year. When we started out small, we have 6 hives, so no wax will be used for anything other than giving back to the bees. It takes approximately 7 pounds of honey for the bees to produce 1 pound of wax. So it's more efficient for us to give it back to the bees than trying to sell it or make candles out of it right now. Once we get to the point that we have excessive amounts of wax, then we will look at selling or doing other things with it. Alright, we'll start off by adding our burr comb in. We'll give it a chance to start melting down. You have to be careful when messing with burr comb, as there are still bees in it, and bees, even after they're dead, still have stingers. A lot of this is comb that was off the bottom of the frames, drone comb. Once the drone comb is capped, we go ahead and cut it off. That's a good way to assist with mite reduction. It doesn't completely help it. There still needs to be mite treatment, but that does get rid of some of the mites. They tend to prefer the drone comb. Alright, we've just about got all this melted in for the most part. We'll go ahead and add the rest to it. Alright, now that we got it up to a simmer, we'll get us a spoon. Probably best to go from Goodwill or a yard sale. If you go in the kitchen and get one, she's probably not going to be too happy. We'll start getting all the cocoons, bees, larvae, everything off the top. And sometimes you'll have a yellow jacket fly in. You have to watch when this gets to a boil. It will boil over fairly quick. you need to, just cut the heat back or off. Alright, now that we got the majority of that cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and add our comb. This was run through a paint strainer, honeycomb. We're just going to go ahead and put it in. There's not enough to do 2 separate dips, or 2 separate renders. And being outside, you will draw in honeybees. I've already got about 8 or 10 flying around the area. Alright, that's all the wax. We'll go ahead and kill our heat. We'll let that cool down just a little bit. Then we'll pour it in a bucket. Alright, what we did here is we just took one of those used paint strainers, stretched it out over a 5-gallon bucket. This will further help get any of the junk out. The better you can strain it, the less work you'll have to do. I'm just taking a piece of wire and I'm going to crimp it, twist it up along the bottom. This will just help keeping the strainer from trying to slide back into the bucket while I'm pouring. If you have 2 people, second set of hands would be handy, but if you don't, get you a piece of wire, a piece of rope, wrap it around under the lip, and that'll hopefully keep this from pushing back down. Alright, I got a set of heat resistant poly gloves. This pot's still fairly hot. Then you'll start your pour. And let it strain through. If you need to and it's draining slow, take your spoon, scrape along the bottom, around the sides. Be gentle, don't rip a hole in it. A lot of this foam and any of the leftover cocoons or bees will stop up the flow. And everything you get strained is something you don't have to clean off on your next rendering of wax. Now we got everything through. We will take our wire loose, pull our strainer off, make sure to catch everything inside, set it off to the side. And we are going to try the slow method of cooling. I understand it keeps it from the wax from cracking so fast, it doesn't allow it to cool down too quick. So we will try that and we'll come back in 24 hours and see what it looks like. Alright guys, so it's been a little over 2 days now. We lost track, had some other projects going on. We're going to go ahead and open up and take a look and see what our wax block looks like. Alright, this is what we ended up with here. We'll clean it up, maybe run it back through one more time. It's about maybe 1 inch thick. So not bad. Alright, we got it out. Oh, cleaned up. There's a few pieces left. On the back side, everything's pretty much scraped off. So we'll take it, melt it back down, and try to render it down, make it a little bit cleaner. Now that we got it to a boil, everything's melted, we'll go ahead and pour it back in our bucket and get ready for, this will be number 2. Alright, it's poured. We will seal it up and let it set. Alright, now that we've melted the wax down twice, got it rendered down, it's the block we ended up with. We'll get it cleaned up here, see what our final product. Alright, we ended up about a 1 inch thick piece. Could use a second melting, but since we're just going to put it right back on foundations next year, we'll call this good. We will take it in, store it, and get it ready for springtime.